Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'll just take a minute while everybody attaches. I'm doing good. How are you doing? It's all right. Feels like summer. So, for those of you who are new, welcome to Tea and Tarot and the Scotty trailer. It's a really old trailer that's been restored, and it's in my driveway right now until camping is back in action. So I decided for fun during the quarantine that we would read oracle cards in the trailer every other Tuesday. So that's what we're up to. I have a lot of decks today. I have, I think about 12 decks. And I usually just go through them randomly and will tune into the card and deliver the message. I don't usually use the guidebook that comes with the card decks. I've explained that in other episodes. I prefer to go into the card for the information, so you won't really see me accessing the cards or the books that come with the cards. But there's nothing wrong with reading cards that way. Anyone can read oracle cards. They're quite easy to read, and there's lots of apps that you can also get on your phone if you don't like the idea of a three-dimensional deck. So we're going to jump in and get started. I hope you guys are doing okay. It's been a crazy 2 weeks. It's summer, which is nice, but it's been pretty heavy on the planet the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of stuff going on, and being empathic, I've been feeling a lot of it, and a lot of my healer friends, we've just been kind of sending energy to each other to stay afloat. So for me, I find getting in nature really helps to reset when I'm not feeling 100%. So my oldest son just graduated from university, and he wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail end to end, which takes about 6 months. But because the border's closed, he's decided to hike the Bruce Trail from end to end, which will take him about a month. And he's swinging by my house later today to pick me up to hike with him for a couple days. So hopefully I'll see you guys in a couple weeks and I won't die on the trail because I haven't done a hike in a while. But I'm looking forward to being in the forest. I think it will be good. So let's jump in and see what we've got here today. I'm going to pick the first deck, but if there's any requests for decks, if you have a favorite deck, then just shout it out in the comments and I'll check in there. But I think that we're going to go with Rumi. Okay, so the Rumi deck, for those who are new to it, it looks like this. It's a Rumi Oracle. It's a really beautiful deck. It has really beautiful images, and it's got a book that has a lot of information in it. You'll be reading pages on each card. So we're going to start with Rumi. I love the Rumi Oracle. I find that the cards are usually very uplifting. I think we need some of that, some lighthearted energy. And also, I mentioned in other sessions, I don't always do my cards this way, but for the purposes of what we're doing here, I like, because I'm just choosing one card from each deck, I like to fan the cards out, and then I just see which one jumps out at me. And this is the one. Okay, and the card that I chose has words on the bottom. I don't usually read the words, but today I was drawn to the words first. So I'll show you the card. It's called Let Love Transform, which I think is perfect for what's been going on. And it's this beautiful picture of a landscape. There's lots of different colors moving around. It reminds me of almost like the spinning chakra, that sun center. And when I look at this, you can see kind of the buildings or those rocky hills are in a red, dark energy, and then you've got the light coming into it. And when I first look at this card, I feel a heaviness, but then I can see that light shining and the fog lifting and the clouds clearing and that sun being able to come through. And I think this card is about not giving up and having some hope for the future, because sometimes it's hard to see the end of a journey, especially when we're assessing it midway, like when we don't know what stage of the transformation we're in. And when I talk about us, I'm talking about us personally, but I'm also talking about the planet as a whole as well, because we are in this global transformation right now, and it's very heavy. And there's a lot of things that have been happening in the world that are not okay. and people are speaking out about them, and this is really important. This is part of the transformation. But personally, on an individual level, we're also feeling this heaviness too. So everything might be okay in your life, but if you're sensitive, you're going to be feeling everybody's stuff too. And you can't get away from that. That's the nature of the reality we're in. That's why the Buddhists talk about how they're going to stay on the planet until every last being is enlightened, because we are a group of people. No one gets left behind. It's funny, I talked about hiking earlier. When I used to hike with my kids when they were little, we had this thing, no one gets left behind. Like, we're never going to abandon someone on the trail. So it's like that here on the planet too. No one's getting left behind. We're all moving through it together at different rates. So it's not like one person can jump ahead and then it's like, to heck with you guys, I'm hitting the road. No, we all are moving together. And until that last person shifts, we're all in it. So let love transform is about letting love transform your own life, and then also that outer reality. We have to start with ourselves first, even though right now I encourage you all to be compassionate and help other people and do what you need to do and be of service, but you not at the expense of yourself. You do have to anchor that love into yourself first, then you'll be able to help other people in a better way. If you don't do that, you'll end up getting burnt out and feeling rather tossed around. So if that's happened with you, then just try to get into nature to reset, but really focus on this heart center, this chakra. If there's one that, oh my gosh, sorry, there's big trucks next door. They're doing a lot of landscape work and they stopped. I thought we were gonna have silence, but there might be some banging around. It was funny because I was talking about the heart chakra. I guess we need to excavate it and do some deep, big construction on it. But really, like, the focus just breathing into this part of your body, movement, like shoulder openers, heart openers if you're into yoga. Because love is transformative. It really is the only energy that can heal anything. Anything. I know that sounds really sort of cheesy, like it belongs on a Hallmark card, but I'll tell you, I've been in a lot of different places over the years. I lived in the jungle one summer and worked with the plants, and that was the answer at the end of the day, that unconditional love is the only thing that can undo, heal, and balance anything else. It doesn't matter how awful that other thing is. So I think that's why our attention is being drawn here today as sort of the beginning of our session to let love transform, because love does transform, but the key word is we have to let it, we have to allow it, we have to let it in. And sometimes when we're not feeling great, we block it or we shut it out. And I find I do that when I stop breathing. And when you stop breathing, you stop pulling the energy into your body. There's a connection with the breath, bringing oxygen into the body to refresh it and rejuvenate it. But also as you breathe in, you're breathing energy into your energy centers that replenish your energy body as well. So just notice your breathing lately. It's important to remember to breathe, to collectively breathe, to breathe for the planet as well. All of us are not breathing right now. It's sort of a symbol of everything that's happened for the last several months. The ability to breathe and the ability to take in air and oxygen and life, really important. So, but don't lose hope, because even though it might still feel a bit heavy right now, we will get to a lighter place. Whenever we ask for change in our lives, this happens with my clients too, we're asking and praying for and calling for change for months, for years, and then the change comes and it's very often chaotic. It can feel negative, it can feel just really like ungrounding, but that's when we're in the middle of it, in the middle of the transformation. Once we come out the other side and look back, it's like, oh, that was awful, but it got me where I need to be. It brought this positive change into my life, and my life is now more the way I wanted it to be than the way it was before. It's just we can't judge it when we're in it. So right now we are in it. So sometimes it's hard to see that light at the end of the tunnel, but it is there, and it is coming. Okay, so I'm grabbing divine guidance, but if anybody wants a particular deck, just shout out and I'll grab that one. So the Divine Guidance cards are fractal images. So the neat thing about these cards is they don't have words on them. They just have numbers, so you can look them up in the guidebook. So you can even choose them face up. But I like to do it this way. All right, there's a few popping out here. Let's see. Oh, that's the one. Okay. So this beautiful spiral, it just makes me think of under the sea and outer space and all of the swirls that you find in shells. To be honest, it kind of reminds me of ayahuasca ceremony. Those images are very prevalent. There's vibration and there's sort of moving swirls of color and energy. And it's almost like on a cellular level, if you see those little circles there. This just makes me think of cellular regeneration and the energy that creates new life, like in utero and also with the plants. So to me, this is about birth and cosmic creation, and it's almost like a baby steps, like at the beginning, like we're at the very beginning of something. Even though it feels like we've been living for 1 million years right now and we've been through a lot of everything, it feels like this card feels like the very beginning of something new. Almost like when somebody's pregnant and they don't know they're pregnant for a few months and that new life has already started, even though their life appears to be the same. So I think this is what's happening for all of us right now. I mean, you could look out in the world and feel what's going on in the world, and maybe it feels like things aren't really changing that much right now. But I think there's new things being built here. And, you know, sometimes the unknown, it's scary, right? We don't know it. We're not comfortable with it. And change can be very ungrounding. I've experienced a lot of change in my own life recently, and I've had a lot in the past and I've rolled with it, but lately I'm struggling with making really simple decisions, and I think that's from the energy we're all in of feeling ungrounded. So I had a friend once who said that all decisions can be made in 7 seconds, basically by taking 7 breaths and then making the choice, rather than weighing the pros and cons and torturing yourself over the decision making for weeks or even months. And I'm famous for stewing on things. It drives people around me crazy because I don't want to make I guess the wrong decision or a mistake, even though there really isn't one. I struggle with that. So I've noticed that if I do that 7 second, that breathing, and then just have the question in mind and come up with the decision and I write it down, or if I go through a 7-week torturous process of in my head trying to figure it out, I usually end up coming to the same conclusion. Only the first way, I'm tuning in more, I get that answer from my subconscious or my intuition, and then I'm not having to go through the torture of being in my head for the next 7 weeks. So I think it's a lot of trusting your gut right now too, and trusting those things that are starting to form in your life, those new beginnings that you don't see yet. Your life, you might not be working right now and it might feel like, oh my gosh, where's that next job coming from? There's nothing in sight, but it's being created. Or where's my partner? Where's my future relationship? Why hasn't that happened yet? Well, that is also still in energy manifesting. So it's to consider that, just like very similar to how we're planting our gardens, some of us right now, or we've planted them. Those seeds go in the ground and we don't see evidence of growth for a few weeks sometimes. So it doesn't mean that nothing's happening. Absolutely everything is happening. Very much like winter. Winter is one of the most active times energetically for the earth. Yes, it's covered in a blanket of snow and it's sleeping, but it's creating the energetic imprint in the winter of what everything will grow into in the spring and the summer. So it's laying the groundwork. It's like the architectural drawing that will create the 3-dimensional reality. So that's what's happening right now. You're creating, you're building. It might still be in your mind and not here yet, but it's really important to take that time in meditation or journaling and really focus on what you want to bring into your life right now, how you want it to feel, how you want it to be, and do that individually for your own self, and then take it a step further and do it collectively for the planet. What kind of world do you want to live in? How do you want that to feel? How do you want that to be seen? And really go into the energy and the motion of it and feel it. That will help pull those things to you faster, and it will also help you discern if they're the right things for you or not, because when you put yourself in the energy of it, you feel really quickly right away if it's for you or not. So don't lose hope, don't lose faith, guys. Hang in there. I know I keep saying that. I'm telling myself that too. It will get better. But right now we're still in the messiness, but there is new growth and new beginnings happening. There will be new birth. So I'll be excited when that happens too. I'll be celebrating with the rest of you, because it feels a little bit heavy. Are there any deck requests for today? I've got all the usual ones. I'm feeling drawn towards the fairies right now. Maybe because I was just talking about nature, and the fairy energy is very lighthearted. And I know some people don't believe in fairies or the fairy realm. And to be honest, maybe 20 years ago, I used to see weird stuff when I was a kid. So the fairy realm, you could think of it as a dimensional frequency of energy that exists different to this three-dimensional reality. But if you think about how we have our spirit guides and angels that guide and protect us, to me the plants have fairies and energies in nature that guide and protect them, and to me that a fairy would be connected to the plants. So very much connected to the natural world. These two are sticking together. Okay, and ironically, and all these fairy cards do not say this, but this is just what's so cool about reading cards. The ones that pop up are the ones that pop up. Whether you're shuffling a deck, sometimes the cards will literally fly out at you, and pay attention to that. If a card flies out and lands on the floor, read that one first. It's trying to get your attention. So I was just talking about nature and the magic of nature, and I pulled a card and called the magic of nature. See how those fairies are blue? Okay, I want to talk about that blue color for a minute. So for those who don't know me, I'm an intuitive, and I do healings and I do readings, and I've worked with energy for a number of years, and I see colors and auras and all kinds of things. And when I'm in session with someone, when I start seeing a lot of this blue color, okay, or even a brighter version of that, then I know they're healing on a DNA cellular level. We're working at the frequency of UV blue. We're going into some really deep stuff, some of it that was created before they even incarnated in this lifetime. So when I'm doing work on myself and I want to get to the source or the root of something, sometimes I will consciously focus on that blue color. I'll even imagine that my body is blue, which is interesting because there's a lot of deities historically who appear as blue. You've got the blue medicine Buddha, which is the healing Buddha. Shiva is blue, and so it's like, what's with this blue color? Well, it's a very healing color. So it's interesting that that's coming up because I think a lot of us have been feeling some stuff in our physical bodies too, because of the stress and just the nature of the situation we've been in for the last few weeks. It's hitting some of our physical bodies, if it hasn't already, with manifesting in different ways. For me, I have had headaches. I don't normally get them, and every once in a while I get hit with a doozy of a headache, and I think I've put on maybe 30 pounds in like 3 months. So despite running and eating healthy and everything else, it's like my body's trying to ground, and so it's just made me kind of heavier. And I know it's an energy thing and it will leave when it's meant to, but it can be really frustrating. So some of you might be going through similar things too. So I encourage you to, if you do any healing visualizations on yourself or any healing work on yourself, or if you have somebody work with you and they're sending you an energy session, to imagine yourself bathed in that blue light, that blue high frequency energy. Imagine your whole body is blue. Imagine it's radiating in that blue frequency. And it's a very healing frequency, and it's also good to help build your immune system and keep it strong as well. Which, let's face it, we all want that right now. Okay. I don't have any dragon cards, Shelley. No, the fairy ones are the only kind of, I used to, and then I used to have probably 50 or 60 decks, and then when I downsized my house, I I gave away a lot of my old decks. No, I don't. But I think that I have dragons in some of the decks. Just I don't have a dragon deck. So I'm going to go with this deck next, the Universal Love deck, because I think we need that right now. Again, this one has been sort of one that I grab a card from every single time we gather, because it's probably my all-time favorite deck. If someone said, Kerri, you only have one deck for your whole entire life, what deck do you want? This deck would be it. So it's called the Universal Love deck. Okay, I pulled the soulmate card. So if any of you, the conversation we had earlier when I was saying, you might be wondering what's happening, or where are these things in your life? The soulmate card, it is about finding that partner in life that you connect with, that you feel like sees you for who you are. You don't have to be any other way with that person. They can kind of see through everything into the core of your being, and they're okay with that. They're okay with all of this stuff, the negative stuff, the positive stuff. You guys are connected on a level that's higher than personality, that's higher than the day-to-day things. So at the end of the day, even if you disagree and don't get along, you still have that super deep connection. The soulmate card can also come up too if you're struggling with a relationship with yourself. Maybe there's parts of yourself that you're judging, that you're not loving, that you're pushing away or hiding because you think, oh, I shouldn't have this, or shouldn't feel this, or shouldn't be like this. And that's a dangerous game to play. I think there's no other word for it. When you start like pushing those things away from you that you don't like about yourself, you're in essence just burying them for a later date to come out unattended. It's sort of like having a toddler that you're ignoring while you're on the phone. They're going to be like trying to get your attention, and then if you ignore them further, they'll burn the house down. So it's important to look at all of those things about yourself, especially the things that you don't love, because those are the things that need the most love. And as soon as you can love and acknowledge and accept and forgive those parts of yourself, then they will lighten up and fade out and not act as almost like a sabotaging energy. Because when there's parts of ourself that we don't like, that we push away and try and hide, those are the parts of ourself that almost animate and come forward and try to take us down when we're moving forward. So rather than fighting yourself all the time, accept all of those parts of yourself. Be that soulmate to yourself. Have that unconditional love for you. Okay, and that's important too if you feel like you've struggled with finding your partner. It's not like the universe is unkind and withholding this wonderful person from you. It's simply because you're not ready for them yet, or they're not ready for you yet. So in the meantime, do that work on yourself. Do all those things that you have the freedom to do on your own, because let's face it, when you meet that person that you want to spend that time with, your life becomes part of their life and vice versa. So you're working in partnership with them. So your life choices, you're always considering them. But right now, if you're single, this is the time to like do all those things that you want to do. There's no one in your life who's going to tell you you can't. So live it up. And then this person, you'll bump into them when you least expect it. And there's more than one soulmate. It's not like there's one person on the planet that's for you and that, everybody else isn't. There's lots of soulmates for each and every one of us. And sometimes they're lifelong, and sometimes they're just for a moment, and sometimes they're just for a part of our life. But this is also a card of rebirth as well. So when I talked about earlier how things might not seem like they're happening, but they are coming into that birthing energy, that's the same with relationship with other people and with ourselves. So a lot of the cards that I've picked so far for those who have just hopped on are very much about not losing hope and not losing faith, not getting stuck in the heavy energy that we're in right now, and really just keeping that hope and faith in your heart and keep moving forward, keep focusing on what you want to create in your life, but how you want to see the world as well. I know there's lots of horrible things going on out there. But sometimes you have to pull yourself out of that and just sit in your own energy and focus on the good that you want it to shift into. I had to take a little bit of time out of social media for a few days because it was just too much. And I found that meditating on my own and trying to raise my frequency up and sending that energy out into the universe was a way that I felt like I could support what was happening rather than getting caught in the tangle and chaos of everything that was happening online. So that's okay to do that if you need to take a time out. You have to take care of yourself so that you can then be there for other people. So I just want you all to feel that that's really important right now. But please don't lose hope or faith. If you feel like you're struggling, then reach out to a friend or somebody, okay? Because we all have days. I've had days too, and I think sometimes I'm on the planet simply because I've had really good friends. Just like I know other people have said that to me as well. So sometimes I'm the one helping somebody out of the ditch, and sometimes they're the one helping me out of the ditch. So don't feel like you're a failure or anything like that. If you feel you need to reach out to someone for mental, emotional, spiritual support, in fact, if you haven't reached out to anyone yet, I'd say that you're probably Viking strong. Like, it's a really tough time. So please do that. Don't feel like you have to white knuckle your way through life right now on your own. There's a lot of great resources out there. There's a lot of people offering free things to help support. I'm doing free healings every Tuesday and Thursday night. So to get in on that, you can just message me through Instagram or pop me an email and I will add you to the list, and I'll keep you on the list until you request to be off of it. So that means every Tuesday and Thursday night, I'm sending you Reiki support. So I've been doing that since the quarantine began, and I'm still working. I'm doing distance work. So if you wanted a session, you can contact me for an actual private session as well. But use your friends, use your family, use beautiful nature. Right now we're so blessed that the weather is amazing and we can get outside and lay on the grass and get in a hammock or go for a walk in the woods, get in the water. I hope they open the water soon, the beaches. I'm dying for that. Okay. So I don't have do I have life path? I don't have life path cards. I have life purpose cards. They're not the same, Annie, but let's try these. So these are life purpose oracle cards. I haven't used these ones very much. It's not that there's anything wrong with them. They're just new to me. A friend gave them to me, and so I haven't had that much experience with these ones, but they're all right. Okay, so this one is talk to your angels. So instead of worrying, ask for divine guidance. And it's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Don't worry. Try not to worry. Try not to judge the situation we're in right now by where we're at right now. We're going through transformation and change, and we've all asked for this on some level. We were all frustrated with the way life was on some level, and we wanted change, and now that change is happening. But we can't judge the end of the change when we're in the middle. Okay? It will get better, but we're still in the flux. We're still in the chaos. Things are still moving around. It's like judging a house being built when all you're seeing is the framing going up and you're having trouble envisioning what it's going to look like finished. We don't know. It's still happening. We're still creating it. So remember that. So talk to your angels and ask your guides. And when I talked about asking friends, reaching out to friends and loved ones for help, if you need it, you've got a whole spiritual support team. And here's the thing about that, whether you believe in it or not, I really don't care. Because if someone's desperate enough, do you know what they do at the end of the day? They send a prayer out. They start praying to whoever, because they're so desperate. They're like, there's got to be someone who's going to arrive and rescue me. Well, what happens is your guides and angels and spiritual support around you can't interfere in your life without your permission, because they can never interfere with your free will. That is like a law of the universe. So imagine this. Imagine having a friend that you follow around your whole entire life, and they can't see you and they don't talk to you, and you have to watch the movie of their life, of all of their suffering, and you're there the whole time, but you have to wait for them to say, hey, can you help me out? And then you're like, yes, I'm here 110%. I can't wait to help you out. This is torture, watching you torture yourself. So that's what's like for our guides and angels. They're there. They're on standby. They're waiting. They're not going to jump in and start rearranging stuff in our life or influencing it until we surrender and ask for help. Okay? It's because we're meant to be the pilot of our own life. Like if we're driving a car, we're the one driving. Okay? We're in charge. Where we go, we choose. It's our life. Our angels and guides are passenger side. If we get lost and think we need help, we ask the person sitting next to us, can you look at the map? Can you tell me? You know, we ask for help and then they'll give it. But the rest of the time they're silent. They assume we're going where we want to go. We're doing what we want to do, even if we're going in circles and going through the same potholes. They're like, oh, she must really like those potholes. Okay. You know, so they're not going to interfere. And I've joked with my friends about this all the time, that my spirit guides are like watching my life, and sometimes it's very entertaining, and they've got the popcorn going on, and every once in a while they break out the whiskey because they're like, oh gosh, she's doing it again. Will she ever learn? And you know, you have to have a sense of humor about it because it is funny. But I swear to God, if you ask your guides and angels for help, you are going to notice a difference straight away, especially if you've never done it before. Just send out a silent prayer and just say, you know what, I need some help here. And maybe you need some help with your body. Maybe you need some healing help. Maybe you need some spiritual help. Sorry, I'm laughing at Shelley's comment. She said her spirit guides quit. Yeah, they don't ever quit. I mean, they might have bandaged heads from the amount of times they've banged their heads against the wall trying to get through to us, but they don't ever quit, unfortunately, or fortunately. But yeah, it can feel that way. And I will say this, if you do have a connection with your guides and angels and you feel like you are connected and you get information and energy from them, and then it feels like all of a sudden you're not, it's not that they've abandoned you. It's that it means that you're going through a big life change where you need to make the choice 100% on your own. And until you make that decision, they can't jump in. As soon as you decide on the thing, they'll jump in with all the support, but they won't choose for you. They won't interfere with your free will. So if you're waiting, if you're in a relationship and you're waiting and you're deciding to leave a relationship or something, they're not going to come in and go, you must leave your partner. No, they'll wait for you to make the choice, and then once you do, they'll jump in with all the support and the synchronicity. So you will find that that's the case. So if you ask for help from your guides and angels, it's not going to be always like a voice from the heavens coming in, okay? You might have a song that pops on the radio, or a friend randomly texts you, or you bump into somebody. When you send that call out for help, they will use whatever is in your environment to help you, always. So it's going to come either through animals, and animals doing weird things around you, or a friend or a family member contacting you, a book flying off the shelf. They will find a way to connect with you. And the reason you'll know it's a message from your guides and angels is you'll feel it. You'll have this feeling like something magical is happening, or something out of the ordinary. Like if you see a cardinal tapping on your window and your first thought is, oh, that's my grandfather. Yes, it's your grandfather. Okay? In your whole brain of all the imaginary things you can think up, that's what you thought of. That's because that's your intuition. And it's really hard for people to discern between intuition and with their imagination, because it's sort of, they're next door neighbors in your brain. So people often think they're making stuff up, but you're not. If you were going to make stuff up, you would make something up that made sense to you, or in a different way, rather than having it happen random in a way that you're not 100% sure you understood or asked for. So your guides and angels are there, whether you've asked them for help or utilized them before. I encourage you all to, as just an experiment, just take my word for it, suspend your disbelief, and later today ask your guides and angels for help on something, anything, physical stuff, mental, emotional stuff, decisions. Ask for clarity. That's one of my favorite ones. I ask for clarity all the time. Now, I will warn you on that. If you're asking for clarity about something, the situation can sometimes get worse. Like, let's say if you're asking clarity on if you should leave your job or not, and your job already feels a little bit yucky, and you ask for clarity, then you might go into work and everything just blows up that day, and you're like, what's happening? But it's making it very clear that you need to get the heck out of there. And that can happen with questions around clarity for relationships and different things too. So but it can also make things improve very quickly as well. Like that clarity thing, it's usually very extreme. It's not subtle. You will know. If you ask for clarity, you'll get it. So I encourage you guys to go forward and ask your guides and angels for help, because they're there. That card came up. So collectively, they're all saying, guys, why are you trying to do this on your own? You have a whole team here. Guess what? They can move stuff around from the other side. So, you know, it is helpful. I've had my guides and angels help me find places to live, help me meet people in my life. You know, often when you meet people in your life, you might meet them in a weird, magical way. You can just feel the energy of it, but you don't know why that person's in your life. Maybe they're going to be a great friend. Maybe they're almost like a spirit guide in a human body. You just don't know. Okay, so these cards, I love these cards. I popped them out last time. I forgot I had them. It's called the Book of Angels, and there's 3 cards. There's a silver wing card, there's a gold wing card, and then one with 2 circles. And the idea is that you pick 3. Sorry, I've got fluff on them here. So I'm going to pick a silver wing one, a 2 circle one, and a gold wing one. And the book goes into, like, you can, if you do end up getting this deck, the book has a ton of information, but I'm just going to read the words on the cards here. So the ones with the wings are just like the message, and then the 2 circle one usually gives you timing or a key or a solution. So this one is flashes of inspiration and insight will come, and that's a silver wing card. So that's saying that you're going to have that information come to you, even if it's not with you right now. So trust that that's coming, especially if you ask for it. And this one is find deliverance from a situation. That's the gold wing one. So if you've been struggling with a situation in your life and you're not sure what to do about it, this card is saying it's time to start, like, taking action, not to keep sitting with it, not to stay uncomfortable with it anymore. Have that difficult conversation. Make some changes or choices that you need to make. It's, if you know something isn't right for you and you've been continuing along with it anyway and it's starting to really affect you, then it's time to address it. You can address it in a loving way, but it is time to address it, whether it's something within yourself that you need to address or with another person. But it is time to have that conversation. The key is winter for rest and preparation. That's what this key card is. That's interesting. I don't want to think about winter right now. I don't know about you guys. It's just started to get into summer. But for rest and preparation, gosh, I hope it's not, you know, what we just came out of. So I'm sitting with that. I'm trying to figure out what that means. The key is for winter. So maybe those cards were asking us to take care of those things now while it's summer and while the energy's a bit easier. We're outside, it's a bit lighter. Take care of those heavy things now so that when we move into fall and winter, we're not carrying them forward with us then. Sometimes it's harder to release things in the fall and winter because energetically our nature is to gather things at that time. Because we're sort of hermiting away and hibernating away. There's not a lot of activity, but the spring and the summer is all about getting out, doing stuff, making change, you know, and the energy supports that. So this is sort of like, don't drag that yucky stuff into your fall and winter. If it's time to let it go now, because it's a much easier time to shift. So whether that's physical stuff in your house and you need to clear it out, or if it's mental, emotional stuff or relationship stuff or stuff with work, but just kind of ask yourself, what's heavy in my life right now? What's holding me back? What's preventing me from moving forward and living in that lighthearted, free way? And start to look at those things. And if they're big things, maybe you can't change it all, but maybe there's an aspect of it you can change so that you can have more freedom and lightheartedness moving forward in the present moment. Sound good? All right. I feel like I talked a lot without stopping. Oh, by the way, this is my mug this morning. Yeah, that pretty much sums up how I feel about the last 2 weeks. I need to get a mug that says WTF Universe. Like, seriously. Guys, I know it's been a crazy time. Okay, I'm going to pull from a deck called Daily Guidance from Your Angels. This is the very first deck that I've ever that I purchased. It's a Dorian Virtue deck, and it's very ratty looking. A lot of people have touched this deck over the years. So, and it wanted to come today. This is the first time I brought this deck into the trailer. Wow. Okay. So, overwhelming kind of. And it's funny because somebody said to me the other day, what's going to be the theme of your tea and tarot tomorrow? And I'm like, I don't have a theme. I just go to the cards and then I just like, whatever happens, happens. I don't know what we're going to talk about. And so I'm laughing because it's very much about, you know, connecting to your angels, asking your guides for help. And then I just got one that says, notice the signs. And it's clarification that all of the signs that you've been receiving are important and they need to be acknowledged and answered and trusted. I mean, you can write them off if you want. Like sometimes that happens when people have something magical happen and they're not used to it. They'll talk about it, they'll be freaked out by it, and then it's like they put it in the discard pile or the deleted pile because they have nowhere to file it in their brain. So they cancel it out. And then they wonder why they don't have miracles and magical things happen in their life all the time. It's because they're not acknowledging them when they do. These things are happening all the time. Miracles are happening all the time, all around you, every single day. We just aren't noticing them. So I encourage you for the rest of this day and even the rest of this week, just kind of open yourself up to the possibility that there are magical things happening around you. And just open yourself up to that and notice how much more you notice. You know, you'll notice the synchronicity that's always happening in the background. You'll notice those magical things. And I think that will really help too if you've been struggling, if you've been in a dark place, you're struggling with hope or you're struggling with finding your meaning. By opening yourself up to that magical possibility that you are supported, that there is synchronicity, that those things are around you, loving you and supporting you, I think that's going to help. You'll start to see examples of that in your own life. Because me telling you all my stories of how that's happened in my life isn't helpful to you. You need to have your own experiences with your own guides and angels and your own magical synchronicities in order for you to feel that yourself. So Dave's asking me if it's frozen. I hope not. Sometimes I have trouble with my my internet out here in the trailer, so hopefully I'm still with you guys. It looks okay on my end, but I hope it's not glitching. But I think we're almost at time anyway, so maybe I'll pull one last card quickly and then I'll sign off in case I am here by myself. Maybe if someone could give me a wave or something just to let me know that you can still hear me. I'm going to, okay, good, okay, awesome. Between a guide and an angel. Guides are usually come with us our whole life. So a guide is like having a best friend, and it's like, imagine you're both on this in the spiritual realm, and one of you is going to come and take on a body and do this whole circus, and the other one is like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that, but I'm going to stay on this side and help guide you through it, kind of thing. So it's like having that best friend or like brother or sister there with you throughout your whole life as support. It's like tech support. It's like, you know, calling in and being, help me. That's what a guide is like, and they're with you your whole entire life. They don't ever leave you. An angel, there's lots of different angels, different frequencies in the angelic realm, and they will pop in and out of your life as you need them, depending on what you're going through at that time. Some angels their job is for healing, some help with life purpose, some help with relationships, some help with lost objects, some help with having children. There's many angels, and angels are, gosh, I don't want to compare angels to ice cream. I don't think that's offensive, but if you think of ice cream, like vanilla ice cream, and then there's all the flavors of ice cream, but they're still ice cream, it's like that. Like angels are really, at the end of the day, one energy. They're not really 100 different energies. It's one collective energy, but what happens is they separate from that energy and differentiate into a particular frequency to help us with a certain thing. So I don't know if I explained that in the way that I meant to. It's like if you imagine angels like the ocean, and then they become a wave for a moment in time to be whatever we need them to be at that moment in time. But here's where it gets weird. We're also ocean water, and this body is a wave for a moment in time. And then we go back to that collective ocean. So when you hear people say we're all one, and you're like, well, that's all dandy, but we're not, because I'm separate and I have my own life crap over here. We are all one collectively, energetically. We're in our separate little meat suits here to experience life in our own unique way. And then at the end of our life, all of our experiences and all the wisdom from this life kind of get uploaded into that, I don't know, let's call it the internet in the sky, the Akashic record. All the information everyone experiences gets uploaded so we can all tap into it and know what everything feels like. Because otherwise, how can you know it unless you've lived it or actually done it? It's impossible. The wisdom that you get comes from your life experiences. You can kind of guess what something's like for someone based on your own experiences, but until you've actually gone through it yourself, you just don't know. You just don't know. And we can't do everything here in one lifetime. That would be great. So I think we like to come back in different bodies for different things. That's my perspective. Anyway, there's lots of different perspectives. And it's good to have beliefs, but it's also good to have beliefs that are loose enough that you let them change, because that's why little kids are great. They're so open to everything. Sometimes as adults we get really stuck in our ideology and our belief systems, and we're less likely to change them, but then we miss out on so much. So it's always good to go into something with an open heart and mind and feel out the truth in the moment of it. All right, so the Lady of the Gift is this card that we pulled from Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. And this is the, gosh, all the construction in the background here. This is the card. So she's like breathing out this beautiful breath of life, and this magic is happening with her breath. And there is a lot of power in our breath and in our words we say and the things that come out of our mouth, literally. And we don't always consider how powerful we actually are. We don't know the power of our words, because after we say them to someone, we don't really know what they've done with them. Sometimes they can have huge impact. Sometimes they can have very little impact. And we don't know the impact of our presence as well. And so, you know, this Lady of the Gift, this energy, and there's crystals in this card. It's very much white light, crown chakra energy here. I think is going back to what I talked about earlier about asking your guides and angels for help. Some of you might never have done that before, and it might be a little hesitant in doing that, but I encourage you all to do that, because I really feel strongly that your guides and angels are around you right now and want to help with whatever you're struggling with right now. On a huge level, like on the crown chakra level, which is how we are connected to spirit. So take some time over the next few days if you can and do some connecting. Just set the intention to connect, maybe do some journaling or some meditation. We're in this full moon energy right now, and it's full moon in Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. So it's a doozy. Like, I'm a water sign, and I find those fire sign moons sometimes knock me on my butt. And this one, I feel like it's pushing me to really just like make some changes, like stop, dragging my feet on something. So it's like kind of like just do it or don't do it, but stop thinking about it. So if you feel like under pressure lately or even a bit anxious, it could be the energy of the full moon we're in, because this full moon is asking us to take action. So whether it's action you need to take on like starting an exercise plan, or maybe like making a decision you need to make, or getting and doing something you haven't done. Maybe you haven't done your taxes yet, or maybe there's something. Think of the thing that's weighing on you the most, the task that you haven't completed, or anything in your life that's kind of, there's a heaviness to it. It needs to be looked at and addressed so that you can then shift it, and this light energy can come in and start to work with you. Don't be afraid of letting things go right now. If it feels like it's time to let it go, then let it go. If it really is true that if it's meant for you, it will come back for you or circle back around. But if it's heavy and if you've been struggling and you've tried everything you need to try, it might be time to just release it or take a break from it temporarily. Okay? So I think we're going to end there, guys. So the message for those of you who popped on late overall is a message of hope today, of not to lose faith and not to lose hope, but to also take some time with the self-care. It's really important. And to ask your guides and angels for help in whatever capacity you need help in, and to feel like you're okay. It's free. Not it's free. Feel free to reach out to friends and family and ask for help, or look for some resources for someone to help you. Yes, it's all great to try and do everything yourself and learn how to do everything yourself. I encourage that. I love it when people like to learn things, and I love teaching people how to use their intuition so they can access it themselves. But sometimes you do need help, okay? And sometimes that's okay, and that can help you quantum leap to the next place you need to be. So thank you for coming, guys. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going for a hike for a couple days, so I hope I don't get lost in the woods. But hang in there, and I'm doing healing every Tuesday and Thursday night, so message me if you want in on that. Feel free to reach out if you need anything else. Hang in there. We're still in the messy part of the change, but we're coming through it, so now's the time to focus on how you want it to go. If we can all collectively focus on that sort of beautiful utopia we all want, we're gonna pull our energy towards it a lot better than if we're in fear and worry all the time, okay? I love you. Sending you virtual hugs. Have a great day. Enjoy your week. Get outside. Bye, everybody.